the manager's hand clamped around her wrist like a vice. "I told you, we don't serve your kind here." His voice dripped with contempt as he dragged her toward the glass doors. Every eye in the restaurant turned. Every whisper sliced through her like a blade. She stumbled, her worn sneakers catching on the marble floor. The dress, her only decent one, the one she'd saved 3 months to buy, was now wrinkled and stained from where he'd grabbed her. "Please, I can pay," her voice cracked. "Out. Now." And then everything stopped. A voice cut through the restaurant like a knife through silk, low, controlled, and absolutely terrifying. "Take your hands off her." She looked up, and there he was. Tall, devastatingly handsome in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her entire year's rent. Dark eyes that could burn through steel. Every person in that restaurant froze, including the manager, whose face had gone sheet white. "Mr. Dante," I said, "take your hands off her." This is a story about secrets, power, and two people from completely different worlds whose lives collide in the most unexpected way. If you want to know how this encounter changes everything, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Every view helps us bring you more stories like this. Now, let's go back to where it all began. 3 hours earlier, Maya Chen had stared at herself in the cracked mirror of her studio apartment. The dress, a simple navy blue piece from a thrift store, was the nicest thing she owned. She'd paired it with her only heels, the ones with the scuffed toe that she covered with a Sharpie every week. Tonight was important. Tonight, she was meeting her estranged father for the first time in 15 years. Richard Chen, tech billionaire. A man who'd built an empire while she'd grown up in foster care, believing he was dead. 3 weeks ago, a lawyer had found her. Her father was dying. He wanted to meet her. He wanted to make things right. The restaurant was Altavino, the kind of place where reservations took months and a single appetizer cost more than her weekly grocery budget. She'd taken 3 buses to get there, arrived early, and waited at the bar nursing a water. That's when she'd seen them, a group of socialites, dripping in diamonds and designer labels, laughing at her reflection in the mirror behind the bar. Oh my God, did she really come here dressed like that? Probably lost. Someone call security. Maya had kept her head down, her cheeks burning. She'd checked her phone obsessively. Her father was late. Very late. 30 minutes turned to 45. Then an hour. The bartender had started giving her looks. "Miss, if you're not ordering, I'm waiting for someone." Her voice had been steady, but her hands shook. Another 30 minutes. The whispers grew louder. Then the manager appeared, a thin man with a pinched face and cold eyes. "Miss, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm waiting for someone." "Richard Chen. We have no reservation under that name." His smile was cruel. "And frankly, you're making our guests uncomfortable." That's when he'd grabbed her arm. And that's when everything changed. Dante hadn't planned on being at Altavino that night. He'd finished a meeting early, the kind of meeting that involved briefcases full of cash and men who didn't ask questions. He'd decided to grab dinner at his favorite spot before heading back to his estate. He'd walked in just in time to see the manager dragging a young woman across the floor. Something in him snapped. Maybe it was the way she held herself, chin up despite the tears in her eyes. Maybe it was the desperation in her voice when she said she could pay. Or maybe it was the dress, clearly her best, now ruined. Whatever it was, Marco moved. "Take your hands off her." The manager released her instantly. "Mr. Dante, I apologize. This woman—" "This woman," Marco interrupted, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper, "is going to sit at my table. And you're going to bring her whatever she wants." "Understood." "Of course. Of course. I'm so—" "Now." The manager practically ran. Mako turned to the woman. Up close, she was stunning, even with mascara-stained cheeks and a wrinkled dress. Dark hair, fierce eyes, and a backbone of pure steel hidden under all that hurt. "Are you all right?" His voice softened, just slightly. She stared at him like he'd sprouted a second head. Yes. Thank you. You didn't have to." "Yes, I did." He extended his hand. "Marco Dante." She hesitated, then took it. Her hand was small in his, her grip surprisingly strong. "Maya. Just Maya." Something flickered across her face. "For now." "Interesting." He led her to his private booth in the back, the one with velvet seats and a view of the entire restaurant. Every eye followed them. The socialites who'd mocked her now looked away, their faces pale. A waiter appeared instantly, stumbling over apologies. Mako waved him off. "Bring us the tasting menu. And a bottle of the 98 Barolo." "Right away, Mr. Dante." When they were alone, Maya spoke. "I can't afford." "You're my guest." He leaned back, studying her. "Tell me, who were you waiting for?" Her jaw tightened. "Someone who didn't show up." "Their loss." She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "You don't know that. I know they're an idiot." He meant it. The food arrived, course after course of culinary perfection. Marco watched her try to maintain composure, to eat delicately, to not show how hungry she actually was. "When's the last time you ate?" he asked quietly. Her fork paused. "This morning." "Eat, please." Something in his tone, gentle, not pitying, made her defenses crack. She ate. Really ate. And with each bite, some of the tension left her shoulders. They talked. Or rather, she talked and he listened, something he rarely did. She told him about her 3 jobs, her night classes, her tiny apartment in Brooklyn. She didn't mention the father who'd stood her up. She didn't mention the childhood in foster care. But Marco heard what she didn't say. He'd built an empire reading between the lines. "Why were you really here tonight?" he asked as dessert arrived. Her eyes met his. "I was supposed to meet someone important. Someone who could change my life." "And they didn't show." "No." He reached across the table. His fingers brushed hers, just barely. "Then they're a fool. Because I can see what they clearly couldn't." "What's that?" "That you're extraordinary." Her breath caught. For a moment, the restaurant, the whispers, the humiliation, it all faded. There was just him. Those dark, intense eyes. That voice that made promises he probably shouldn't keep. "I don't even know you," she whispered. "Then let me take you to dinner. A real dinner. Tomorrow night." Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Her face went white. "I have to go." She stood abruptly. "Thank you. For everything. But I really have to." "Maya." His hand caught hers. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Thank you." She pulled away and practically ran for the exit. Marco sat back, his mind racing. Something was wrong. Very wrong. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Vincent, I need you to find someone for me. First name Maya. Early 20s. Working multiple jobs in Brooklyn. I want to know everything." He ended the call and stared at the doors she'd disappeared through. He had no idea who she really was. But he was going to find out. Chapter 2. The Investigation. Maya's hands were still shaking when she got back to her apartment at midnight. The text message glowed on her phone screen. "Your father passed away this evening. The will reading is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Please come to Morrison & Associates law firm. This concerns your inheritance." She sank onto her threadbare couch and let the tears come. He was gone. She'd never get answers. Never know why he'd abandoned her. Never know if he'd actually wanted to make things right or if it had all been a cruel joke. The lawyer's message had come through while she was at dinner with. God, she didn't even know his last name. Marco Dante. The man who'd defended her. Who'd looked at her like she mattered. She'd Googled him on the bus ride home. Her blood had run cold. Marco Dante. Alleged head of the Dante crime family. Suspected in dozens of investigations but never charged. Owner of half the real estate in Manhattan. A man powerful enough that even seeing his name made her hands shake. She'd had dinner with a mafia boss. And she'd liked it. Maya buried her face in her hands. This was insane. Tomorrow she'd go to the lawyer, find out what her father had left her. Probably nothing but more disappointment, and forget this entire night ever happened. She had to. Marco Dante didn't sleep that night. Instead, he sat in his penthouse office, reading the report Vincent had compiled. The man was thorough, too thorough. Maya Chen. Age 24. Works 3 jobs. Morning shift at a diner, afternoon cleaning offices, night shift at a 24-hour convenience store. Enrolled part-time at community college. No criminal record. No family. Grew up in foster care after mother died when she was 9. Father, unknown. Marco's jaw tightened. The girl worked herself to the bone. Lived in a building that should have been condemned. And somehow still had the strength to hold her head high when she was humiliated. But there was more. Recent contact, Richard Chen's legal team. Purpose, unknown. Richard Chen. The tech billionaire who died yesterday. Marco leaned back in his chair. Maya had been at Altavino waiting for someone important. Someone who could change her life. Richard Chen. The pieces clicked together. Maya wasn't just some struggling student. She was Richard Chen's daughter. Hidden daughter. Secret heir. And she had no idea she'd just inherited a fortune worth billions. More importantly, she had no idea that fortune made her a target. Marco grabbed his phone. Vincent. I need a team on Maya Chen. Round-the-clock protection. She doesn't know she's being watched. Boss, what's going on? Richard Chen's will is being read tomorrow. If Maya is his heir, and I think she is, every vulture in this city is going to come for her. Understood. I'll put our best on it. Marco ended the call and stared out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Maya was sleeping, completely unaware that her life was about to explode. He should stay away. Should let her navigate this new world on her own. But the memory of her hand in his, the way she'd looked at him with those fierce, vulnerable eyes, he couldn't. He wouldn't. The next morning, Maya stood outside Morrison & Associates in a borrowed blazer and her interview pants. The building was downtown Manhattan. All glass and steel and money. She felt like an imposter. The receptionist led her to a conference room where 3 lawyers sat behind a massive mahogany table. The head lawyer, an older man with kind eyes, gestured to a seat. Miss Chen, thank you for coming. I'm James Morrison. I handled your father's estate. What did he leave me? She kept her voice steady. I need to know if it's worth taking the day off work. Morrison's expression softened. Miss Chen, your father left you everything. The room tilted. What? His entire estate. Chen Technologies, his properties, his investments. Current estimated value, $4.2 billion. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. No. He didn't even know me. He abandoned. He knew exactly who you were. He's had investigators watching you your entire life, making sure you were safe. When he learned about his diagnosis 6 months ago, He tried to reach out. But Morrison paused. "There's something you need to know. Your father didn't just die, Miss Chen. He was murdered." The room spun. "The official report says heart attack. But your father left me a letter, to be opened only if he died suddenly." Morrison slid an envelope across the table. He believed someone was trying to kill him. Someone who didn't want him to find you. Someone who wanted his company. Maya's hands shook as she opened the letter. "My daughter, if you're reading this, I'm dead. And I'm sorry. Sorry for not being there. Sorry for letting fear keep me away. Your mother and we were targeted. I thought hiding you was protecting you. I was wrong. Someone wants Chen Technologies. They've already tried to kill me twice. When you inherit, they'll come for you too. Trust no one. Not the board. Not my advisors. Not even the police. There's only one person I trust to keep you safe. His name is in the second envelope. Use it. I love you. I always have. Dad." Maya opened the second envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a business card. Marco Dante. Her breath stopped. No. No, this is insane." Morrison leaned forward. "Your father and Mr. Dante had an arrangement. Mr. Dante provided security for certain Chen Technologies operations. They trusted each other. He's a criminal. He's also the only person your father believed could protect you from what's coming." Maya stood abruptly. "I don't need protection. I don't want any of this. Give it to charity. Give it to—" The conference room door burst open. A man in a suit, expensive, tailored, wrong, stood there with two others behind him. "Miss Chen. I'm Robert Harrison, chairman of Chen Technologies Board. We need to talk about your father's will." Morrison stood. "This is a private meeting. The board is contesting the will. Miss Chen has no experience running a company. We are filing an injunction." Maya's head spun. This was too much. Too fast. "I don't even want the company." "Perfect. Then you'll sign this." Harrison placed papers on the table. "Transfer of ownership to the board. We'll give you a comfortable settlement. $10 million. You walk away." $10 million. More money than she'd ever dreamed of. But something in Harrison's smile made her skin crawl. I need time to think." "There is no time. Sign now, or we go to court. And trust me, Miss Chen, you don't want that. The things we'll have to reveal about your father, about you." It was a threat, barely veiled. Maya's jaw set. She'd spent her whole life being pushed around, being told she wasn't good enough, being thrown out of restaurants. Not anymore. "Get out." Harrison's smile vanished. "Excuse me? I said get out. This is my meeting. My inheritance. And you're trespassing." His face darkened. "You're making a mistake." "Maybe. But it's my mistake to make." Harrison leaned close, too close. His breath was hot against her ear. "You have no idea what you're walking into, little girl. This city will eat you alive." Then he was gone. Maya collapsed into the chair, her heart hammering. Morrison handed her a glass of water. "Miss Chen, your father was right to be paranoid. Robert Harrison has been trying to take over Chen Technologies for years. With you in the picture, I'm in danger." "Yes." Maya stared at the business card in her hand. Marco Dante. She'd run from him last night. Run from something that felt too intense, too dangerous. Now he might be the only person who could keep her alive. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and dialed the number on the card. He answered on the first ring. Maya. His voice was warm, concerned, like he'd been waiting for her call. Are you all right? No. Can we meet? I need help. Where are you? Morrison and Associates. Downtown. Don't move. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Marco. I know who you are now, Maya. And I know you're in danger. I'm already on my way. The line went dead. Maya sat back, her mind reeling. He knew. Of course he knew. Men like Marco Dante always knew. She'd walked into that restaurant yesterday as a nobody. She'd walked out as a billionaire heiress with a target on her back. And the only person who could protect her was a man she barely knew. A man who made her feel safe and terrified in equal measure. Outside the conference room window, a black SUV pulled up to the curb. Maya watched as Marco Dante stepped out, flanked by 4 men in suits that couldn't quite hide the weapons underneath. He looked up at the building. Even from here, she felt the intensity of his gaze. Whatever happened next, there was no going back. Marco Dante walked into Morrison and Associates like he owned the building. Maybe he did. Maya was learning that Marco owned half of Manhattan in one way or another. The receptionist stammered. The lawyers stood. Everyone suddenly found something very interesting to look at on the floor. Everyone except Maya. She watched him cross the conference room, his dark eyes never leaving hers. He was dressed immaculately, a black suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe, white shirt open at the collar revealing a glimpse of a tattoo on his neck. Maya. His voice was soft, concerned. Nothing like the cold tone he'd used with the restaurant manager. Are you hurt? No. How did you know? He pulled out the chair next to her and sat, creating an instant barrier between her and the lawyers. I make it my business to know things, especially when it concerns people I care about. People I care about. The words hung in the air between them. Morrison cleared his throat. Mr. Dante, I'm glad you're here. Miss Chen needs protection. I'm aware. Marco's tone left no room for discussion. Maya, look at me. She did. Those dark eyes were intense, searching. Your father and I had an arrangement. He helped me with certain business matters. In return, I ensured his most valuable assets stayed safe. His hand covered hers on the table. He made me promise that if anything happened to him, I'd protect you. I intend to keep that promise. I don't need. Yes, you do. No anger. Just certainty. Robert Harrison and his people are already moving. You walked out of here, you won't make it 3 blocks. Fear crawled up her spine. You're exaggerating. Am I? He pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. It was her apartment building. Except there were 2 men stationed outside. Watching. Waiting. They got there 20 minutes ago. Her breath caught. Oh God. You can't go home. You can't go to work. Everything you knew, it's over. His thumb stroked across her knuckles. I know that's terrifying. But I've got you. Okay. She wanted to argue. Wanted to insist she could handle this herself. But the truth was staring her in the face. She was in over her head. What do I do? You come with me. You stay at my estate until we figure out who killed your father and what Harrison is really after. Your estate? You mean? Yes. You'll be living with me. Morrison interjected, It's the safest option, Miss Chen. Mr. Dante's compound is like a fortress. Maya looked at Marco. Really looked at him. He was a criminal. A dangerous man. But when he looked at her, she didn't see danger. She saw protection. Safety. Something she'd never really had. Okay. Relief flashed across his face. Okay. Let's go." He stood, his hand at the small of her back, guiding her toward the door. His men materialized around them, a wall of muscle and weapons. Outside, 3 black SUVs waited. Marco opened the door to the middle one himself, waiting until she was inside before sliding in next to her. The door closed. The world outside suddenly felt very far away. "Where are we going?" she asked. "My estate in Westchester, about an hour outside the city." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Vincent, the Chen apartment. I want everything. Clothes, photos, documents. Anything personal. Bring it to the estate." He was erasing her old life. Efficiently. Completely. "This is insane," Maya whispered. "I know. Yesterday I was a nobody. Today I'm a billionaire heiress hiding from assassins with a mafia boss." His lips quirked. "Not exactly a normal Tuesday." She laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. "What happens now? Now I keep you alive, and we figure out who wants you dead." The drive passed in a blur. Marco made calls, issued orders, built a fortress around her with just his voice. Maya watched the city disappear, replaced by suburbs, then estates hidden behind gates and walls. Finally, they turned onto a private road. Trees lined the drive, creating a tunnel of green. Then the house appeared. Calling it a house was an understatement. It was a mansion, all stone and glass, perched on a hill overlooking the Hudson River. Beautiful. Intimidating. Exactly what she'd expected. Marco's hand found hers again. "Welcome home." The interior was stunning. Marble floors, soaring ceilings, artwork that probably belonged in museums. But it wasn't cold. There were books on tables, a fire in the fireplace, signs of life. "I'll show you to your room." Marco led her up a sweeping staircase to the second floor. He opened a door to reveal a suite bigger than her entire apartment. King bed. Sitting area. Windows overlooking gardens. The bathrooms through there. "You'll find everything you need. Vincent's bringing your things, but in the meantime, there's clothes in the closet. My sister's. She's about your size." "You have a sister?" Something flickered across his face. "Had. She died 3 years ago." "I'm sorry." "So am I." He moved toward the door. "Rest. I'll have dinner sent up." "Marco." She caught his hand. "Why are you doing this? Really?" He turned back. For a moment, his carefully controlled mask slipped. She saw exhaustion. Loneliness. Something that looked almost like hope. "Because when I saw you in that restaurant, being treated like you were nothing, I saw someone who deserved better. Someone strong. Someone brave." He stepped closer. "And when I found out who you really are, what you're facing, I knew I had to help. Your father trusted me. But more than that." He cupped her face gently. "I can't explain it. But from the moment I saw you, something in me said, protect her. So that's what I'm going to do." Her heart hammered. "Even though you barely know me? I know enough." They stood like that, inches apart, his hand warm against her cheek. The air between them crackled with something dangerous and electric. "This is crazy," she whispered. "Yes. We're from completely different worlds." "I know. You're a criminal. I know that too." His thumb brushed her bottom lip. "But right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and people who want you dead. So crazy or not, different worlds or not, you're mine to protect." The words sent heat through her. "You're mine. I should let you rest." He stepped back, and she felt the loss of his warmth immediately. "Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." Then he was gone. Maya sank onto the bed, her mind reeling. 24 hours ago, she'd been struggling to pay rent. Now she was a billionaire hiding in a mafia boss's mansion. A mafia boss who looked at her like she was precious. Worth protecting. Worth more. She touched her face where his hand had been. This was dangerous. Getting attached to Marco Dante was possibly the stupidest thing she could do. But God help her, she already was. Downstairs, Marco poured himself a scotch and tried to calm the rage burning through him. Someone had killed Richard Chen. And now they were coming for Maya. Over his dead body. Vincent appeared in the doorway. "Boss, we've got a problem." "Talk." "Harrison's not working alone. We've ID'd at least 6 men outside the Chen Technologies building. Another 4 at her old apartment. They're coordinating. Who's backing him? That's the problem. The money trail leads to a shell company. But I recognize the pattern." Vincent hesitated. "Boss, it looks like Konstantin." Marco's blood ran cold. Konstantin Volkov, head of the Russian Bratva. A man as ruthless as he was ambitious. Konstantin wants Chen Technologies? Not just the company. The patents. Chen was working on new encryption technology. Military grade. Worth billions on the black market. And Maya had just inherited all of it. Double the security. Triple it. I want eyes on every approach to this estate. And put out feelers. I need to know what Konstantin's planning. Boss, if Konstantin's involved. I know. Marco drained his scotch. This just became a war. A war with Maya caught in the middle. He looked up at the ceiling, imagining her in the room above. Safe. For now. But safe wasn't enough. He needed to end this. Permanently. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Yes. Marco Dante. The voice was Russian accented. Amused. I hear you have something that belongs to me. Konstantin. I don't know what you're talking about. The Chen girl. She's inherited property that should have been mine. Richard refused to sell. But his daughter, she's more persuadable, I think. She's under my protection. Ah, how noble. But also foolish. Konstantin's tone hardened. Give her to me, and we have no problem. Keep her, and I'll burn your entire organization to the ground. Marco's hand tightened on the phone. Then I guess we have a problem. So be it. But know this, I always get what I want. Always. The girl will be mine. It's just a question of how many bodies it takes. The line went dead. Marco stood there, his mind racing. Konstantin had declared war. And Maya was the prize. He thought of her upstairs. Brave. Defiant. Trusting him to keep her safe. He'd made a promise to her father. But more than that, he'd made a promise to himself. Maya Chen was under his protection now. And God help anyone who tried to take her from him. 3 days passed in a strange, suspended reality. Maya spent her mornings working with Morrison remotely, learning about her inheritance, the companies, the properties, the staggering wealth that was now hers. She spent her afternoons exploring the estate with Marco's permission, always with guards shadowing her. And she spent her evenings with Marco. They'd have dinner in his study, him working through reports, her reading legal documents. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they sat in comfortable silence. But always there was that electric awareness between them. The way his eyes followed her across the room. The way his hand would brush hers when he passed her papers. The way her breath caught when he stood too close. It was dangerous. She knew it was dangerous. But she couldn't seem to stop. On the 4th night, Marco found her in the library at midnight. She was curled in an armchair, staring at nothing. "Can't sleep?" His voice was soft in the darkness. She looked up. He'd changed from his suit to casual clothes, dark jeans and a black Henley that showed the tattoos on his forearms. He looked younger, more human. "I keep thinking about my father." Her voice cracked. "He watched me my whole life, knew exactly where I was, what I was doing, and he never just showed up, never just said, 'I love you.'" Mako sat on the arm of her chair. "He was trying to protect you. I know. But I was so lonely. I thought I had no one. And all that time." Tears spilled over. He was there, just watching from a distance. "Hey." Mako pulled her up and into his arms. Strong arms that wrapped around her like a shield. "You're not alone anymore. You hear me? You've got me." She buried her face in his chest and let herself break. All the fear, the grief, the overwhelming weight of the past 4 days, it came out in sobs that shook her entire body. Mako held her through all of it. One hand stroking her hair, the other pressed against her back, murmuring softly in Italian, "Non sei sola. Ti proteggerò. Sempre. You're not alone. I'll protect you. Always." When the tears finally stopped, Maya pulled back slightly. "I got your shirt wet." "I don't care about the shirt." His hand cupped her face, his thumb wiping away the last tear. "I care about you." Their eyes met. Held. "Mako." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Tell me to stop." His forehead touched hers. "Tell me this is a bad idea and I'll walk away right now." "It is a bad idea. I know. You're a criminal. I'm supposed to be the good guy here. I know. This can't go anywhere. I know." His nose brushed hers. "Tell me to stop, Maya." She should. She knew she should. Instead, she closed the distance and kissed him. The world exploded. His arms tightened around her, pulling her flush against him. The kiss was fierce, desperate, full of 4 days of tension and want. His hand tangled in her hair, tilting her head for better access. She gripped his shoulders, feeling the muscles beneath the fabric. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Marco rested his forehead against hers. "I'm going to keep you safe," he whispered. "Whatever it takes. I don't care who I have to go through." "Marco." "No. Listen to me." He pulled back enough to look her in the eyes. "I've done terrible things, Maya. I'm not a good man. But with you, I want to be better. You make me want to be better." Her heart cracked open. "You are good. I see it. The way you protected me at the restaurant. The way you've taken care of me here. That's who you really are. You don't know. I know enough." She kissed him again, softer this time. "A promise." "I trust you." Those 3 words undid him completely. He kissed her again, then pulled her close, just holding her. They stood like that for long minutes, wrapped in each other, the library silent around them. Finally, Marco pulled back. "I should let you sleep. Stay." The word escaped before she could stop it. "Just stay with me tonight. Please." She saw the war in his eyes. The want versus the control. "I'll stay until you fall asleep." "Okay." He led her up to her room and sat on the edge of the bed while she crawled under the covers. Then he stretched out on top of them, pulling her against his chest. "Sleep, Bella. I've got you." She closed her eyes, listening to the steady beat of his heart. For the first time in 4 days, she felt safe. Maya woke to shouting. Marco was gone. She grabbed a robe and ran downstairs to find Marco's study filled with men. Vincent. For others she recognized as guards. All armed. Marco was on the phone, his voice lethal. I don't care what it takes. Find him. Now. He saw her in the doorway. His expression shifted from rage to concern. Maya. You shouldn't be. What's happening? Go back upstairs. Marco, tell me. He hung up and ran a hand through his hair. For the first time since she'd met him, he looked rattled. Constantine made his move. He hit 3 of my businesses last night. Sent a message. What message? His jaw tightened. That he's coming for you. And he won't stop until he has you. Terror crawled up her spine. Then let him have the company. The patents. I'll sign everything over. It's not enough anymore. Marco's voice was flat. You humiliated him by refusing. You made him look weak. Men like Constantine, it's not about the business now. It's personal. So what do? We end this. He looked at his men. Vincent, initiate Protocol 7. I want every asset we have on the street. Find Constantine's location. Boss, if we go to war with the Bratva. We're already at war. Marco's eyes were cold. Hard. Nothing like the man who'd held her last night. This was the mafia boss. The killer. He drew first blood. Now we finish it. The men scattered. Marco turned to Maya. You stay here. Don't leave this house. Don't even go near the windows. Marco. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She thought of last night. His arms around her. His promise to protect her. Yes. Good. He cupped enter novamente vi continuare face, kissed her hard and fast. This will be over soon. I promise. Then he was gone. Maya stood in the empty study, her heart pounding. She'd fallen for him. Completely. Irrevocably. A criminal. A killer. A man who terrified everyone he met. But the man who made her feel safe. Who looked at her like she hung the moon. Who kissed her like she was his salvation. She prayed he came back to her. The attack came at dusk. Maya was in the library when the lights went out. Emergency systems kicked in immediately. Red lights, alarms blaring. Then gunfire. Rapid. Close. Terror froze her for a heartbeat. Then training she didn't know she had kicked in. She ran for the panic room Marco had shown her on day 1. She was halfway there when a hand grabbed her from behind. A man. Russian accent. Hello, Miss Chen. She screamed. Fought. He was too strong. Then he was on the ground, blood pooling around him. Marco stood over him, gun raised, face splattered with blood. Behind him were his men, fighting off at least a dozen attackers. Maya, run. Now. She ran. The panic room was at the end of the hall. 50 feet. 40. 30. An explosion shook the house. She stumbled, fell. Hands grabbed her. Pulled her up. Marco. I've got you. Come on. They made it to the panic room. Steel door. Reinforced walls. He pushed her inside. Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone but me. You understand? Marco, don't leave me. I'll come back. I swear. He kissed her desperately. Ti amo. I love you. Remember that. Then he was gone. The door sealed. Maya was alone in the darkness, listening to the sounds of war above her. And all she could think was, please come back. Please don't leave me alone again. The silence was worse than the gunfire. Maya sat in the panic room, knees pulled to her chest, counting her heartbeats. 5 minutes since the last explosion. 10. 20. No sound from above. Nothing. She thought about Marco, about the blood on his face, about the way he'd looked at her before sealing the door. Ti amo. I love you. The first time anyone had ever said those words to her, and it might be the last. Fresh tears threatened, but she forced them down. Marco had told her to stay here, to trust him. So she would, even if the waiting killed her. Above ground, Marco Dante stood in the wreckage of his foyer, staring at the man bleeding out on the marble floor. Not Constantine's men. They'd already been eliminated. 12 bodies scattered across his property, a message to the Russian that this war was over. No. This man wore a Chen Technologies security badge. Vincent. Marco's voice was deadly calm. Explain. Vincent dragged the man up by his collar. Found him trying to break into the panic room. He had the override codes. Who sent you? The man laughed, wet and painful. You're too late. Harrison's already at Chen Technologies. He's got the patents, the encryption keys, everything. Marco's blood ran cold. What? It was never about the girl. She was just bait. Keep you busy while we got what we really wanted. The man coughed blood. Harrison says thanks for the distraction. He died. Marco stood there, his mind racing. It had all been a setup. The threats. Constantine's attack, paid for by Harrison to keep Marco occupied. While Harrison stole everything. And Maya. She's the only one who can access the final encryption key. Marco's voice was ice. Her biometrics. Her access code. Vincent's eyes widened. Harrison's going to come back for her. No. Marco was already moving. Because we're going to him first. 20 minutes later, Marco opened the panic room door. Maya launched herself into his arms. Oh, thank God. I thought, we have to move. Now. He pulled back, his hands on her shoulders. Harrison played us. The attack was a distraction. He's at Chen Technologies right now, trying to access your father's encryption. But he can't without you. I know. Marco's jaw was tight. He's going to come for you, Maya. But we're not waiting. We're going to him. What? Trust me. She looked at him, this man who'd crashed into her life 4 days ago. This man who'd protected her, held her, kissed her like she was everything. Always. Chen Technologies' headquarters was a glass tower in Midtown. At 3 a.m., it should have been empty. Instead, lights blazed on the executive floor. Marco's SUV pulled up to the service entrance. His men, 20 of them, fanned out. Vincent, secure the exits. No one leaves. Marco helped Maya out. You ready? No. But let's do this anyway. They moved through the building like shadows. Marco's men had disabled security, probably not legally, but Maya was past caring. The executive suite doors were closed. Locked. Marco nodded to Vincent, who placed a small explosive charge. 3 seconds later, the doors blew inward. Harrison looked up from Richard Chen's desk, his face going white. Miss Chen. Mr. Dante. What an unexpected. Save it. Maya walked forward, and for the first time in her life, she felt powerful. Dangerous. You killed my father. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Marco moved beside her. Richard Chen didn't have a heart attack. You poisoned him. Slowly. Over 6 months. Made it look natural. Harrison's smile didn't reach his eyes. Prove it. I don't have to prove it. Maya's voice was steel. I'm the majority shareholder of this company. As of right now, you're fired. You can't. I can. I own everything. And my first act as CEO is removing you from the board. Permanently. You have no idea what you're doing. This company requires expertise. Leadership. You're just a poor girl who got thrown out of a restaurant? Maya's smile was sharp. Funny how things change. Now get out of my building. Harrison stood. This isn't over. I have friends. Powerful friends who? Marco stepped forward. The temperature in the room dropped. She told you to leave. Don't make me repeat it. For a moment, Harrison looked like he might argue. Then he saw Marco's eyes, cold, deadly, completely serious, and whatever courage he had evaporated. He left. Maya sank into her father's chair, shaking. Is it really over? Not quite. Marco pulled out his phone. Vincent, send the evidence to the FBI. Harrison, the poisoning, all of it. Let the law handle him now. You're turning evidence over to the FBI? Maya blinked. You? For you? Yes. He knelt beside her chair. I told you. You make me want to be better. She laughed, slightly hysterical. I can't believe we just did that. Believe it. You're officially a CEO now. I have no idea what I'm doing. You'll learn. You're brilliant, strong, brave. His hand found hers. And you have me. For whatever that's worth. It's worth everything. She pulled him closer. You saved me. Again. You saved yourself, Bella. I just helped. She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Marco rested his forehead against hers. What happens now? Now. Maya smiled. Now we figure out how to make this work. A billionaire CEO and a mafia boss. Sounds complicated. Probably. But I'm not walking away. Not from you. Not after everything. Good. His arms tightened around her. Because I'm not letting you go. Ever. Possessive. With you? Absolutely. She laughed and kissed him again. Outside, dawn broke over Manhattan. A new day. A new beginning. Maya Chen had walked into a restaurant 5 days ago as nobody. She walked out of this building as someone. And the man beside her, dangerous, protective, completely devoted, would make sure she never forgot it. 6 months later. The charity gala at the plaza was in full swing. Maya stood at the bar in a stunning emerald gown, designer, expensive, worlds away from the thrift store dress that had started everything. Nervous. Marco appeared beside her, devastating in a tuxedo. A little. This is my first major public event as CEO. You'll be perfect. He kissed her temple. You always are. She smiled up at him. 6 months. 6 months of learning to run a company, of building a life she'd never imagined, of falling deeper in love with a man who still surprised her every day. Marco had been true to his word. He'd stayed beside her through every challenge, every board meeting, every difficult decision. And slowly, very slowly, he was stepping away from his darker business. Legitimate investments. Legal ventures. For her. Mr. Dante. Miss Chen. A reporter approached. Can I ask about your relationship? Marco's arm slid around her waist. Miss Chen and I are partners. In business and in life. There are rumors of an engagement? Maya laughed. Let's just say, we're taking things one day at a time. The reporter left. Maya turned to Marco. Partners. Would you prefer madly in love with? That works too. He pulled her close, swaying slightly to the music. I have something for you. Marco. Close your eyes. She did. She felt him slip something onto her finger. Okay. Open. The ring was stunning. Emerald, the exact shade of her dress, surrounded by diamonds. Beautiful. Perfect. Mako. Marry me. His voice was rough. I know it's complicated. I know we're from different worlds. But I love you, Maya. I want forever. I want everything. Tears spilled over. Yes. Yes, of course, yes. He kissed her there, in the middle of the plaza ballroom, with cameras flashing and people applauding. And Maya thought about that night. The restaurant. The humiliation. The fear. All of it had led to this moment. To him. Hey, Mako whispered against her lips. You okay? I'm perfect. She smiled through her tears. I have everything I never knew I needed. So do I, Bella. So do I. They danced as the night wore on, wrapped in each other, the rest of the world fading away. A poor girl had been thrown out of a restaurant. The man who defended her had no idea who she really was. But he'd fallen in love with her anyway, and that made all the difference.